to see him again. So I took him and I put him underneath the pillow, kind of sequestered him away for the rest of this experiment until we need him again. And then I said, and then I have this. You know what these are, right? And of course you hear, quaons, the quaons. Well, let's look inside is what I did next. So I opened the box and I dumped out the contents into my hand as such. And I said, oh my gosh, look, these are not crayons. What are they? They're birthday candles. So then I took them and I put them back in the box. And then I said, okay, let's bring out our friend Little Bunny Foo-Foo again. Since he's been away, he's been sleeping. And then I took the pillow off, took out the bunny, and I asked a very simple question to Marina, the 2-year-old. What do you think Little Bunny Foo-Foo thinks is inside this box? And what do you think her response was? Yeah. That Little Bunny Foo-Foo, who was away the entire time, was not able to see that there were crayons inside. That she thinks that Little Bunny Foo-Foo thinks that there are candles inside. Now, why cognitively would little Marina think that? Because she's at a stage in her mental development where she can't understand the theory of mind, is what it's called. The fact that other people's actions, the reason for that, the explanation, the theory behind it, is that they have a mind just like she does, and maybe she can't even understand that yet. She may be able to understand that she's separate from the rest of the world, that she's an agent, but she may not be able to understand yet that she has thoughts and that she has emotions, and that those are the explanation for what's going on in her consciousness. And she cannot, maybe because she hasn't reached that development, she can't understand that in other people. And animals, lower animals understand the what behind actions. They understand that if I do A, it will cause B in this predator. If I dance around in front of him, that's going to excite him and he's going to want to eat me. They understand that kind of simple cause and effect. But they don't understand that there are thoughts and emotions going on inside that predator. They don't understand that they don't have a theory of mind, that another person has a mind, and that their actions are caused by that mind. Very interesting stuff, because when you ask the older two, what was their, and what's our immediate answer? Without hesitation, it's not something we have to think a whole lot about. We know that Little Bunny Foo-Foo is going to think that inside a crayon box, there's going to be crayons. And this has great implications for our capacity for morality, because not only do we have this emotional contagion like we talked about before, where we're emotionally porous that spreads like viruses, but we also at the same time understand and have the foresight to know that my actions are going to change your emotional state. My actions are going to change the way that you think, your state of being consciously. And is that not a big part of what stops us from screwing other people over? From being a total jerk? Because we understand that other people just like us feel pain, feel sorrow, feel heartbreak, feel betrayed, feel wronged. And that's a big part of what keeps us being wrong. Okie dokie. Trucking along. So next, we there yet? Yeah. So I want to show you a couple pretty important and pretty famous bones from our past. Our past, your past, in a way. Maybe we're not actually related to these, but they are a part of the history of hominids. On the right-hand side, Exhibit A is from 800,000 years ago in Indonesia, found by a paleontologist named Dubois. And it's a broken femur, a quite broken femur. This is the first bone that he found, the one that has this very strange growth on it. And what can we, let's put ourselves in the mind of paleontologists for a moment. We see this bone, we find it. What does that tell us about that organism? You be the paleontologist. Let's get you involved. Find this bone. Odd growths, clearly broken at some point, and yet healed. What does that tell us about that Homo erectus? What's that?
He was under stress?
Yeah, some kind of major trauma.
He was cared for, or he would have starved to death.
Okay, explain. Contrast that with what would happen to another animal. Let's say that happens to a tiger. A tiger breaks his femur, massively breaks, not fractures, massively breaks. What would happen to that tiger?
It'd either be eaten or starved to death.
Yeah, it's a goner. You break a femur, you know, your biggest bone in your body. It's supposed to be the most painful event possible to crack your femur open. Even worse than childbirth, apparently. I cannot vouch for either one of those. And maybe you'll object to that as females.
Don't go there.
Yeah. But yeah, you would be a goner. So what does this tell us about these Homo erectus? 800,000 years ago. What?
They probably lived in groups and cared for each other.
Yeah, big time cared for each other. How long? How many people have broken their leg before? How long does that take to heal?
8 weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks. At least, you know, several months, right? I know people that have broken their leg and been in a cast for like 3 or 4 months. Really long time, because it was a very bad spiral break. Then exhibit B. This is another Homo erectus from the country of Georgia, not the state, from 1.75 million years ago, the Dmanisi site. And this skull has no teeth. No teeth at all. And not only that, it's not like they just fell out after this Homo erectus died. This Homo erectus was living, this male was living with no teeth for an extended period of time, possibly years, because the way that the jaw had started to change. Same moral of the story there. This person, if you want to call them that, this Homo erectus, was being cared for and maybe even having their food pre-chewed for them, and over a long extended period of time, and past their reproductive range. This was an old man. So we were caring not for just those that you know, could fight for us, could hunt for us, could care for us, could gather food, but even for the elderly. 1.75 million years ago, we cared about each other. We have on a very deep, profound level for a really, really long time. And one of the things that I think is a really interesting question is, why is it that, you know, when we compare ourselves to other animals like we were doing earlier, why is it that humans are so intelligent in comparison? Let's see if I have a picture. Yeah, this is a graph, not a very good graph, but it shows, you know, you have brain size on the left-hand side to body weight on the bottom.
Help if I turn off the lights for a second.
You can if you want. And the point there being that we are an outlier. We are far beyond and above other organisms where, you know, evolutionary speaking, why is our brain so big? I mean, the brain, or let me pose it in the opposite way, which I think is helpful to think about too. Why isn't it that other organisms have evolved brains as big as ours prior to us? I think that's a legitimate question. You know, brains have been around for a pretty long time, and yet we're the first species that is able to have these kind of talks and really complex thoughts. Why is it that other organisms haven't evolved that already? Well, I don't know. I mean, but one of the reasons is that the brain is really costly. You know, 20% of our resting metabolism is feeding nothing but this lump of 3-pound lump of fat in our head. And I've heard Sapolsky, I think I'm saying his name right, that a master chess player, if they were to play a game for an entire day and have really